Alright guys, so this reason I have you on this video is because this gentleman here is going to let you know that like all the wars that have started before in the past, this war is not about what they're saying it is. They just doing it telling the lies and make it seem like it's a holy war. They know the holy war hasn't started yet, or it has, but that's between us and all of the outside nations and their pappies. So they know. But for right now, right now, we're about to vibrate them out the fucking whole shit, so they're about to be done anyway. But right now, what's going on is that they've been lying, and they know that the real war hasn't started. This is what you call proxy war. It is a war, but it's a proxy war. It's a war to steal oil. And so this fake Israel, the Ashkenazis, although it's all bullshit, the names and shit, because these are just the devil's children, or one of many of the devil's children, those Ashkenazis, because that's what they are, beating up on another of the devil's children. He has many children, and he's trying to steal their oil, which really belongs to us anyway. It only belongs to none of them, because they shouldn't be on this planet. But here's what's going on. Every time they say it's about something else, they're lying, or they say it's not about the money, that means they lying, period.
Bishop, salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen that look like the heathen, the Israelite foreigners, and to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And I came across a couple videos. There was one that I found, and I regret that I just couldn't remember the name. It was two women, and man, they really went hard. But the Lord gave me this one. And this is actually a YouTuber named Ethan Klein. So this is a Jewish guy. And he actually breaks down and cries as he's, reacting to Palestinian victims. So,
Now, I don't know if he called any names or start giving thanks to any names and stuff, but if he did, we both know not to do that. So don't do that, guys. I just had to throw that in case I missed it.
Now, mind you, this guy's Jewish. Okay? And I guess he's being interviewed. This channel is called Alas Nahak. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Arabic is nowhere near my language, but I believe that's what it says, Alas Nahak. That's the channel. But this is a Jewish YouTuber named Ethan Klein. All right, and he's clearly in disagreement with Netanyahu and his government, and a lot of the Jewish people are. But then there's many that support. I've seen videos with them making mockery and making jokes and spoof videos on the people's death and suffering. So there's a lot of sick people among the Amalekites. All right, but let me bring out this scripture, and then we'll start this playing these videos. All right, because let's not pretend that we now, the world now knows about the canal that they want to build right through Gaza, and the world now knows about the oil that's supposedly under Gaza, and some of the biggest oil companies are, well, now you know why this narrative of soldiers hiding behind citizens so they can just continue to bomb and level everything to the ground. And then say, well, if you didn't hide your soldiers behind children, we wouldn't have to blow up schools and hospitals, and that whole sort of thing. And scrambling, trying to make that, to produce some evidence. I tell you, man, he is really coming against me when I'm trying to, there we go, use my technology. It's slowing me down a lot lately in these last couple of videos. But this is Micah 2 and 1. And it reads, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand." So it's in the power of their hand to do what they're doing. It's in the power of their hand to continue this what it seems to be by a lot of Jewish and Israeli citizens alone, not just the other nations, but their own people, saying that it's propaganda and that this is war crimes, because Esau writes laws and they don't follow them, but it's in the power of their hand to do so. They'll make laws and then they write amendments or statutes and codes to get around the laws. America's, the expert at that. First and foremost, because for the most part, American citizens right now are governed under UCC codes and not the law that was written for the people in the land. All right, that's hence the reason why you have lawyers who have to pass the bar, which is the British Admiralty Royalty or Registry, the British Admiralty Registry, and so that they can judge you American citizens and put you under UCC codes and instead of under American common law. This is how they get around the law. So these people, and you Americans allow it to happen because most things that they come at you with UCC codes, you can challenge it under common law. But, Americans aren't really that smart, and that's what they want. But without any further ado, let's listen to YouTuber Ethan Klein's testimony of what he's seen and how he feels about it. Mind you, this is a Jewish Israeli citizen, I would assume. He's definitely Jewish, okay? So here we go.
So here's what I'll say about Israel. The cabinet is run by genocidal maniacs. They're led by Netanyahu, who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal. He's made a coalition of the most radically conservative freaks that they've committed tons of war crimes in Gaza, including the killing of children, obviously, because Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. 50% of the residents are under 18, so when you bomb a building, the chances that you're killing children is pretty much 100%. It's barbaric, it's unacceptable, it's disgusting. I've seen videos, I saw videos of Palestinian dads holding his dead 5-year-old daughter. I mean, and then there was another one that as a father, it's even hard to talk about. This dude was holding his infant. It was a year old. And he was patting her on the back and saying his final goodbye. I mean, he's holding her like she's alive, like he's just burping her or something. I didn't expect to get emotional about that, but I'm a new dad that really, and I hate to see it. It's not right. I think people in Israel that support the government and the government need to watch that. I think Israel shutting off water, power, and food to Gaza is insane. It doesn't make sense.
I believe that a lot of people in that land are watching it and they're rejoicing in it. It's also, it's a blood sacrifice for some of them. You got to remember that we're dealing with Amalek, all right? Okay, so this is another Jewish individual who's very popular, very well known. Talks about his how his grandparents were martyrs, and doing what happened at I forget which death camp his parents were supposedly at or at, and not his parents, but his grandparents during World War II. But this is Professor Norman Finkelstein, and he basically goes in on Hillary Clinton and, how much of all these politicians, these politricks, excuse me, lie. And he goes in on how she lies. So
you mentioned a little while ago that our former Secretary of State and former First Lady Hillary Clinton has been making the rounds, laying out her argument for why she is opposed to a ceasefire, even after all of the many civilians who have been killed by Israel in this conflict. She later,
and we know that Hillary's all about the money. You know, the Clintons, they get that money, man. Yeah. Hillary, you know, because if you cross Hillary, you die mysteriously, or have a heart attack, and all kind of things happen. All those witnesses against them for that Watergate thing, every witness, including the police officers, are all dead now. They don't like to talk about that. All right, but yeah, you don't want to cross those Clintons, man. You don't want to mess with them.
Around her argument in an Atlantic piece, she said that ceasefires freeze conflicts rather than resolve them. In 2012, freezing the conflict in Gaza was an outcome that we and the Israelis were willing to accept.
So if this thing doesn't stop, they get to wipe out Gaza, wipe it off the map, build that canal, and get that oil. And I'm sure that the Clinton foundations, they definitely had their paws in those deals as well. I'm sure. This is Micah 2 and 2, and it reads, "And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses they take them away, so that they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." Okay? So this is what, he does. Now, truth be said, the land of Israel is not the heritage of the Palestinians. The Palestinians are Ishmaelites. They're not the actual. Palestine is the word for Philistine. And the Philistines in the ancient world were sons of Ham. The Hamites are the Africans today. You know how the Edomites love to talk about the curse of Ham as an excuse for slavery? Remember, the Philistines were of the Hamitic lineage. All right? And then the land of Israel was actually promised to and given to the Israelites, not the Israelis. The Israelis are not of Israelite heritage. All right? They're not the people of the book. But let us continue.
But Israel's policy since 2009 of containing rather than destroying Hamas has failed. A ceasefire now that restored the pre-October 7th status quo would leave the people of Gaza living in a besieged enclave under the domination of...
Plus, that's not the real Israel. That is not the real Israel. The real Israel is actually in the United States. Okay? I'm just letting you know. And it's all connected. Okay? It's not separated by sea. But they've been lying. So he's only telling what he knows because, I think he's part of one of those camps, but he's a decent teacher that gets some things right. But just hold on. I just had to correct that so you wouldn't fall for that hijack. That's the fake Israel over there. United States is the real Israel. They know this.
First, and leave Israelis vulnerable to continued attacks. It would also consign hundreds of hostages to continued captivity. She also made an appearance on The View where she bolstered this argument with her version of some of the recent history. Let's take a listen to a little bit of what she said there.
The problem predates October 7th, and I think that's what President Obama was talking about, because let's remember, this is a very long and complicated history. Yeah. My husband, with the Israeli government at the time in 2000...
I think this might be The View. So I'm not sure. So I'm going to, fair use, call for the Fair Use Act, fair use. All right. I'm not profiting from this. I'm not making money from this. This isn't a rebroadcast. This is for, for educational, reasons why this is being played. So
2000 offered a Palestinian state to the Palestinians at that time, run by Arafat, Yasser Arafat, the PLO, and the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, which, by the way, took out of its charter violence against Israel. So you've got to separate the Palestinians who believe that there is some future of peace with Hamas, which believes it has to destroy Israel. Yeah, those are two different organizations, and they have to be viewed in that way. Arafat turned that down. There would have been a Palestinian state now for 23 years if he had not walked away from it. There was another attempt when I was Secretary of State to try to, bring the Palestinians and the Israelis together. That didn't work out. Hamas came in and basically destroyed all of that and killed a lot of other Palestinians. So I think when President Obama says that, it requires us to look at the history. And of course, history holds all of us accountable.
So what is your view of how she...
Except Hillary Clinton, who destroyed Libya. History holds all of us accountable except Hillary Clinton. But let's leave that aside. What I would like you to do...
If you don't know, not that long ago, Libya was considered one of the best places in the world to live. Clean food, clean air, clean water. I think married couples got new families, were given houses. You go to college. College was free for everyone, and healthcare was free for everyone. All right, and it was clean. It was just supposedly it was one of the best places in the world to be. And then, well, Hillary leveled it to the ground. All over false pretenses. The same way, if they never found weapons of mass destruction, all right, and look at Iraq in the state it was left in, all right, and so you bomb and destroy and kill people, and then when they, strike back or fight back, you call them terrorists. These Edomites do not respect the humanity of any other people. You happen to live on some land that has some oil, some gold, some silver, some cobalt, some copper, or they want to build a canal through your land. They run the media. They'll keep printing that you're bad people in the papers, and they'll keep blasting on their news channels that you're the worst people, you deserve death, and they'll play it without ceasing, all right? And at the same time, screaming that they're the victim, screaming that they have the right to defend themselves when you don't even have the ability to really attack them in the first place. This is the sort of thing that, we've just been seeing over and over again. Just saying, just mention it. Not saying who, but, you can put one and one together.
Crystal, is simply ask me one specific question from that. She made many, many statements. She talked about 2000 when her husband presided over the attempted peace agreement. She talked about Hamas, how Hamas destroyed everything. She talked about ceasefires don't exist. You would not have time for another question if I were to go into all of that. So you use your intelligence. You're very smart. Which aspect do you find most challenging? And then I'll try to answer it going through the details.
Well, one of the claims that she made there, which I hear repeated often, is that it was on the Palestinian side that peace has been rejected. And she says there that Palestinians could have had a state now for 23 years had Yasser Arafat not walked away from the deal that her husband was attempting to craft. So do you agree with that assessment? What does she get wrong there?
Well, she gets everything wrong, and I'm going to try to explain why. I do know the details, and I hope the listeners will forgive me for going into the details. There have been 4 basic issues to try to resolve this conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. Okay? Issue is, number 1, borders. Where should the borderline be drawn between Israel and the Palestinians? The Palestinians accepted the position of the international community. The borderline should be drawn where it was before the June 1967 war. That is, the whole of the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Gaza, would form an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel. The Palestinians accepted the position of the international.
Now, didn't the last guy in the last video, I think he said that it's international law that you cannot take over land from wars? Yeah, he stated that.
Community. All the legal bodies in the world, the International Court of Justice, all the political bodies, the UN General Assembly, Everybody accepted the border should be what's called the pre-June 1967 border, or the whole of the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, and Gaza would be the Palestinian state side by side with Israel. Israel rejected that position. Israel wanted a part of the West Bank. In its last offer, it wanted approximately 8% of the West Bank. So it rejected the international community's position. Number two, under international law, East Jerusalem belonged to the Palestinian state because under international law, it's inadmissible to acquire territory by war.
Wow. So that's twice. He said it and the other guy said it. This is Micah 2, and 2 again. I'm going to read all the way through 3. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove.
Remember, they're gonna keep saying names because they put names in this book, in those books. So don't go for no names. The source is what declared what he's saying right now and telling you what they do. All right, and the source is us combined. We are one. We're collective.
Your next, neither shall ye go haughtily, for the time is evil. Let's go to Sirach, book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. And it reads, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right. So these people, through violence, through thy sword. All right. Remember that Revelation 6 and 4. It was given unto them a great. Matter of fact, let me just get it. It's Revelation 6 and 4. And it reads, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And so so these Edomites are going to war and are going to kill one another. All right. And there was given unto him a great sword, and they're going to use that sword on one another. You know, the Edomites in over there in Russia. All right, because they're Esau too, are joining on with the heathens to fight against the West and the Israelis that are sitting in Western Asia. All right, because you have.
I'm gonna get straight to the point. As far as those heritages, all those nationalities, all outside nations are Asiatic. The white man's Asiatic. All their relatives are Asiatic. They're all related. They're all the devil's kids. No matter what nationality they are. So they ain't supposed to have no kids with them.
Remember, the term Middle East is a made-up terminology. That is Western Asia, where Israel sits, where Yemen sits, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Jordan, Syria, Turkey, Armenia, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, all that is Western Asia. All right, always has been. You even find if you're watching the different media channels from Asia, they refer to that area as Asia. The Indians are always calling it Western Asia, and I've heard a couple other people refer to it as that as well. All right, so Esau Edom is being found out. They're being frowned upon with what they're doing. I wish I could have found that video that I watched earlier with the two women referring to the state of Israel as an apartheid place, and that was, and one of the women was an Israeli. All right. She was interviewing some other, she was actually the one being interviewed, But nevertheless, E is exposed, and it's not looking too good for them on the world stage. So this time, even it's amazing, even though they control the majority of the mainstream media in the world today, they cannot stop the information that's coming out against them. Why? Because the world is not, this time around, they're not being able to just paint this victim, narrative that they just have the right to defend themselves. You remember how in Rome, what was it? Was it Nero? Nero set fire to Rome and then blamed it on the Israelites. Blamed it on the actual, Judeans, or should I say, the house of Judah, the house of David, which was.
We're not gonna use those either because those names are both all wrong. Israelites means you're something you're not, because it's calling you a Roman or Greek. It's calling you the enemy. It's also calling you a dirty Moor. Same thing with, just being honest, man. All that stuff's just religion. Don't fall for the names. The names are wrong on purpose. You don't want to call yourself a nobody calling you the J word he just used, because Judah's actually a devil's name. If you look at, you find out who it really is. Big head scientists who made the outside nations to come against us. But the whole point is these outside nations are gonna kill each other. They're all the same, and now they get ready to kill each other, and that's what's going on. Peace and love.